Last tax year, I was owing $3,556 for tax year 2022.
This is Bisola. She is a content creator popularly known as Wiz Queen on YouTube with over 44k subscribers. Bisola is also a finance expert with a dozen or more videos on her YouTube channel about how you can manage your personal finances. How did she get into this mess with the Canadian Revenue Agency, and what can we learn from it?
Guys, you would not imagine. We have literally just finished recording like an 1 hour long video and we realized that we did not press record.
Oh no!
People from my village. Anyways, welcome to my channel. My name is Grace. If this is your first time here, welcome. And if you're a returning subscriber, welcome back. You are the real MVP. I have on my channel, Bisola. We'll be chatting about the money mistakes that you are making and that you need to fix, otherwise it will cost you a lot. So tell us that, that gist about how much you literally, or you were owing for the last tax season.
Oh, the one I posted on
Yeah, the one you posted on Instagram.
So last tax year, that's a very interesting story by the way. Last tax year, I was owing $3,556 for tax year 2022.
Imagine. That's a lot.
That's a lot. And now the problem with CRA is that if you're owing more than 3k a year, you would now have to start making advanced tax contribution or tax installment payments. And the reason why I was owing that much is because my income for 2022 increased later on in the year, and that means I had not contributed enough taxes to cover for the income that I made or the next tax bracket that I fell into. So usually I have a monthly contribution to my RRSP account, but because the investment account was down last year, stock market was down, everything was not booming, I just felt there was really no point to continue to contribute to the RRSP account, and I can always do a bulk contribution at the end of the tax year. But at the end of the tax year, I wasn't sure of how much I had contributed during 2022, and I just felt I didn't make that much money anyway, so I wouldn't even be paying that much tax until I went to meet my accountant to file my taxes. And I was like, oh yeah, you are currently owing $3,550. I'm like, what? No, check it again. There should be some credits that we can take advantage of. I was like, no, we're finished using everything, and that's the amount you're owing.
You mentioned that now you have to then pay like upfront. Can you explain the logic of that?
Yes, so with CRA, if you are owing more than $3,000 in a tax year, CRA would expect you to start making tax installments in advance for the next tax year. So basically the expectation is that you have held on to our money for the last year. In future, we don't want you to hold on to our money again. Yeah, so now start paying that taxes in advance, and when you file your taxes next year, if you are not owing that much, we'll refund you the money.
A follow-up question to that: if you had used up your RRSP, how would it have helped you in any way?
So the thing with RRSP account is it allows you to defer your taxes to a future year. So if I had contributed to my RRSP, which is what the mistake I made last year, that would have reduced my income, my taxable income for 2022, and I would have been paying a lower taxes. So how RRSP work is there is usually a calculation. It's an 18% of your income from the last tax year. So let's say you earned 100k in last tax year and you didn't have any previous contribution room, then that would be 18% on 100k, and you would have 18,000 to contribute to your RRSP for the next tax year.
So, but a word to the wise, because this is what happened to me. I came to Canada and immediately I started contributing. So now I'm going to pay, because there's a 1% interest rate that the Canadian government charge you for every month that you over contribute to your RRSP. So technically, when you come or you move to Canada in that year, if you haven't filed your tax, you do not have a contribution room. So technically, you shouldn't be contributing until you file your first tax, and then that's when they're not able to do that calculation you talked about. In short, everything was just a blur because I didn't understand it, which is part of the reason why we're doing this video today, guys. So learn from our mistakes. Don't do what Bisola did, and don't do what Grace has done. Don't contribute too early, but make sure you contribute once you're eligible to. Thinking about it, some people do not have like a good idea what RRSP is. I know you've explained it a bit, but like what's the full meaning, and then how can someone who is just coming to Canada take advantage of it to reduce their tax brackets?
So RRSP simply means Registered Retirement Savings Plan, and it's an account that the government of Canada encourages Canadian residents to make contributions towards their retirement. Now, what's the advantage, or how do you use this RRSP account? The RRSP account allows you to take tax advantage by making contribution to your RRSP. So basically, what this account does is it defers your taxes to a future year, which is whenever you actually withdraw the funds from that account. So say, for instance, your income for 2022, which would be a reference point here, was $50,000, and let's say you contributed $5,000 to your RRSP. Now remember, your company would have calculated the taxes from your monthly paycheck or your bi-weekly paycheck based on 50K. But since you have contributed 5K to your RRSP account, the CRA will now refund you the taxes on that 5K portion, which means you have contributed to your RRSP and you have deferred that taxes to a future year. Whenever you withdraw the funds out of your RRSP, that would be when you now pay back the taxes.
And hopefully it's in like maybe when you are retired, that way your income is really low, and then it means that your tax bracket is low. So yeah,
that's just one of the advantage. Another advantage is that you can, with that RRSP account, the contribution that you have made, which is in the example we are talking about, the $5,000, you can invest it in anything, the stock market, and any gain you make from that investment is just going to be 100% in your pocket.
Wow.
So let's say, for instance, you have that $5,000 and you invest it, and in 10 years time you make another $4,000 on it, which is a total of $9,000. Whenever you withdraw that $9,000, the taxes would only be on the $5,000 which you had originally contributed, and the $4,000 gain is just going to be 100% in your pocket. You don't pay taxes on it.
And then I think you can also get like a property from that. Can you tell us more about that?
Yes. So if you are buying your property or your first home in Canada, you can actually withdraw from your RRSP. And even though you withdraw from your RRSP, remember we said that whenever you actually withdraw from your RRSP, that would be when the taxes would be paid back. But if you are withdrawing from the RRSP for the sake of buying a property, then you would not have to pay back the taxes at that point in time. You just slowly contribute back that amount that you have withdrawn, and use that money for your property purchase.
So it's more like a loan. You are loaning from your RRSP, tax interest-free loan from your RRSP that you will pay back, and then you're only allowed to take it out when
you want to buy a property.
Like eventually when
you want to retire.
When you want to retire. So yeah. Okay, there's something else I wanted us to talk about. So depending on the kind of job that you take, that would kind of influence if you're able to get RRSP contribution or matching from your employer. So for example, if you take a contract role, then most companies do not have RRSP. Is that right?
Yeah, that's right. So if you're working as a contractor, that would mean that you are self-employed. In that case, you would need to have your own registered business, where that business is the one offering services to the company. So say for instance, company Grace hired me, WeScreen, to work for our company. Now I have my business registered as WeScreen, but technically I am Bisola, right? But my company name is WeScreen. So now I'm doing a business-to-business relationship with Grace's company, but I am an employee in my own company. Right? So in that case, it is WeScreen that is getting paid, who is a business owner, or who is the business itself, but I am just offering the service on behalf of WeScreen. Now in that case, because it's a business, your company doesn't hold the business any retirement plan technically. It's up to WeScreen to provide Bisola a retirement plan. So then the company might decide to not match RRSP. But some companies' job as well might, even though it's full-time or contracts, they might also not have that matching of RRSP in their benefit. It just varies from company to company.
Based on what you just explained, if I get all those benefits, if I am like a full-time permanent staff, why do you think, or why do people actually decide to work for themselves or become contractors?
There's a lot of reasons why people would decide to work.
You're smiling.
No, I'm smiling because I'm a beneficiary of being a self-employed employee. There are a lot of benefits to it. I mean, both sides has its pros and its cons. There is pros to being a full-time permanent employee with a company, and there's also the pros to working as an independent contractor with a company. It's definitely a whole video on its own where you can weigh the pros and the cons. But I would say the reason why most people tend to prefer to go for contracting route would be because of its tax advantage. There are so many things you could do to maximize your tax benefits. And if you are self-employed, you can utilize that as much as possible.
But there's also a downside to that. Do you want to talk about that? I think we should talk about that.
Like the downside to self-employment?
Yes.
Of course, there are a lot of downsides to it as well. Your employment is really not stable. If the company are laying off workers, the contractors are usually the one that they start to look at. Except you are underperforming as a full-time employee, full-time permanent employee, that would be the only time that they would say, okay, yeah, you'll be the first to go. But for contractors, you'll be the first to be let go because they really do not, like, you are not part of them.
Yeah.
Really. And for contracting as well, most times company expects you to work on yourself, improve your skill. They don't provide you all of these resources to grow in your career. You need to take that intentional effort, or you need to put that intentional effort upon yourself to learn and grow your skills. Whereas for the full-time permanent employees, they could have all these online research learning tools and all these learning platforms where they would give them trainings and access to all these tools to grow their skills, improve in their career and everything.
Yeah.
So that's usually also another downside. Another downside again is that you don't get benefits. Like, you are literally just getting your hourly rate or whatever amount you guys agree to. You don't get any benefits from the company. Companies would offer their full-time employees healthcare benefit, dental benefit, medical, all of these other benefits. But if you're a full-time, if you're a contractor, you don't get access to those benefits as well. Same thing that we just mentioned about the RRSP. It's you don't get that benefit. So you just get your flat rate.
But then there's also something else that I wanted to ask about, because when I started my other job, my employer was like, "Oh, we're going to match your contribution." I'm like, "What's that?" So I had to call up my sister to explain it, and I believe some people out there might not understand what matching in the RRSP
is all about.
So, yeah, could you explain that?
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense, and I'm glad you brought that question up because it's something that not a lot of people have knowledge on, like you said. Remember, we talked about RRSP, meaning retirement savings plan, and some companies would offer RRSP matching as a kind of benefit to their employees. So the same way they will say they'll give you dental plan or medical coverage, they'll tell you RRSP matching as well is part of the benefits that they offer to you during your employment offer. Now, if your company is offering you RRSP matching, you should take it. Take as much as however amounts that they're matching. And what they mean by matching is, let's say you are contributing $100 or 10%. It could be percentage, it could be fixed amount based. So let's say your employer says they are going to match it by 100%. So match it, make that contribution to your RSP as much as the limit allows you to. For instance, now if you contribute $100 into your retirement savings plan, then your employer would be the one to withhold that $100 directly from your paycheck. So in your paycheck, that RSP contribution would already be deducted from there. Now, what that matching means is that the employer would also add $100 for you. So for every dollar you contribute, the employer is also matching it by that amount. So some employer would match it by 100%, some will match by 50%, some will match by 80%. It would depend based on the benefits that you're able to negotiate during your employment offer. But I would recommend that you take as much as the offer allows you to.
Yeah. And then some have like a fixed amount, so they say match like
by
monthly
$600 or something.
So if they are matching to 600, I think it's
you should also
best
contribute
to
600,
contribute
so that
because like they are multiplying your money.
pay,
So guys, if you have like questions around contracting or like around all we have said, just put the comment in the comment section below. I'll be looking through and also forwarding the questions to Bisola. And then if you are not yet subscribed to my channel and her channel, please do that like right now, instanta, immediately. I say to people, literally, Canada is for couples, because if you have if you're married and one of you is a contractor and the other person is a permanent employee, basically you're living your best life. The money is coming from one end, the benefits from the other end. So guys, make sure you like, subscribe, and also turn on your notification bell so you get notified when I publish more content. Until I come to you next time, I'm Grace.
I'm Bisola.
Bye.